morning, Mr. Lopez. Good morning. I'd like to pick back up on some of the drug dealing in Castle Hill that we discussed yesterday. Yesterday, you testified you, JC, Brabs, and Josnell Rodriguez were drug dealing in Castle Hill. So I want to ask you, were you together when you were drug dealing there? Yes. Where were you? In different addicts' houses. Sometimes we'd be in Brab's house. So what would happen when you were at Brab's house, for example? Just all be hanging out together, wait for our phones to ring. So what would happen when a customer called? We'd tell them to come to the building and meet them in the building. Where would you meet them in the building? In the staircase. So would you see Brabs or JC or DO go out to meet customers? Yes. Would you go with them? No. And when you went to meet customers, would you go by yourself? Yes. When you saw them go to meet customers, did you see them with drugs? No. Where were the drugs? We would hide them in our boxer briefs or something. Now, where would you package your drugs? Sometimes in the addicts' houses. Were you together when you packaged the drugs? Yes. So did you see D.O. package drugs? Yes. What about JC? Yes. What about Brabs? Yes. Do you know if D.O. was making more money than you? I'm not sure exactly how much money he was making. Did he have more customers than you? Yes. Did he ever talk about how much more money he was making? No. Now, you testified yesterday about re-upping your supply with Bounce. What does re-upping mean? To buy more drugs to sell. And I believe you testified that Rodriguez would go with you to Bounce to re-up. How much was he getting when he went to Bounce to re-up his supply? Objection. Repetitive. Foundation. Overruled. Do I answer the question? Yes. Could the court reporter please read back the question? Getting about 5 to 10 grams each time. And how often would you and Rodriguez go to Bounce to re-up? About once or twice a week. And was that consistent over the entire period from April to September of 2012? Yes. Now, Mr. Lopez, you also testified yesterday about Brown borrowing money from you after you were dealing drugs upstate. Yes. Did he ever pay you back? No. Did you ever ask to be paid back? No. Why didn't you ask to be paid back? I didn't. I was just giving him money. I didn't really expect him to pay me back. One point of clarification. Just when you said you were going to Bounce to re-up your supply with Josnell Rodriguez, were you each getting 5 to 10 grams from Bounce? Or in total, were you getting 5 to 10 grams from Bounce? Sometimes we get about 5 to 10, or sometimes we'll put our money together and probably get 20 grams, something like that. All right. Mr. Lopez, yesterday you testified about being bailed out after an arrest upstate. After you were bailed out during that time, did you go back to drug dealing? Yes. How long were you out on bail? From September 6th to October 9th. Were you arrested again? Yes. What happened? I got pulled over upstate, and there was drugs found in the car, and I got charged with possession with intent to sell. What kinds of drugs were in the car? Heroin. Was anybody with you that time when you were arrested? Yes. Who was with you that time? 3 addicts from upstate. Now, after you were arrested that time, how long were you in jail? 21 months. Did you stay in touch with Sex Money Murder members while you were in jail? Yes. Who were you in contact with from jail? CB. Anybody else? D. Jones, TC. Who is TC? Turning to CB, how would you contact him from jail? I called my wife and had a 3-way. What is a 3-way call? Third-party call. So what does that mean? How does it work? I'll call her, and she'll merge the calls. Why would you call him in that way? So I won't put his number on my phone list to call him direct, so the jail won't monitor our calls. And why didn't you want the jail monitoring your calls? I didn't want them to know that I was talking to him. Why not? Because of everything that happened in the past. What would you talk about in the calls with CB from jail? Just call to see what's up, what's going on. Sometimes he'd send me money. Would you talk about criminal activity? No. Why not? We try not to talk about things like that over the phone. You said he would send you money. What do you mean by that? Send me money orders while I was in prison. Why would he send you money orders? To make sure I was all right with the money. How much would he send you? Sometimes $100, sometimes $50. How often would he send those money orders? Every couple of months. Aside from money orders, did he give you money in any other way? He might drop it off to my wife. And as to the money orders, were those in his name? No. Why not? Or what was your understanding of why not? I remember one time he sent me a money order, but he put a different name on it. He put Casey Burgos with a Commonwealth address. How did you know it was from him? From the initials. From Casey with a C, and for Burgos, it was a B. What did you do with the money he sent you? Bought commissary. Your Honor, right now I would like to read a stipulation into the record. The stipulation has the same preamble that we had yesterday, and then it says, 1. If called to testify, a representative of the New York State Department of Corrections will testify that Government Exhibit 1401 is an excerpt of a prison call on September 19, 2014, that Christopher Lopez made from Altona Correctional Facility to the number 315-664. 2. If called to testify, a representative of the Metropolitan Correctional Center will testify that Government Exhibit 1402 is an excerpt from a prison call on August 23, 2016, that Corey Brown made from the MCC to the number 917-226. 3. If called to testify, Rosanna Corrado, a paralegal specialist with the United States Attorney's Office, will testify that Government Exhibits 1401T and 1402T are transcripts of the call excerpts in Government Exhibit 1401 and 1402. It is further stipulated and agreed that the stipulation as the Government Exhibit 1311 is admissible in evidence as a government exhibit at trial. It's dated June 12, 2017, and signed by the parties. At this time, Your Honor, the government would offer into evidence Government Exhibit 1311, the stipulation, as well as Government Exhibits 1401 and 1402, and we would offer 1401T and 1402T as aids to the jury. Received. Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, we do have transcript binders for the jurors. We would ask to pass them out at this time. They can see the 2 transcripts for these 2 calls as well as other transcripts. Yes, you may. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an instruction about these transcripts. As you can tell, a piece of evidence is offered. There is an opportunity to object if that appears appropriate to the counsel. I rule on an objection, and the exhibit is received or not based on my ruling. So I don't want you to turn to any page in these binders unless instructed by counsel. So right now it appears perhaps that 2 of the exhibits are available for you to look at. We will wait until counsel gives you an instruction, and that's how we will proceed with respect to these. I believe there is a number on the front of each binder that should relate to your juror number 1 through 16. Thank you. Counsel? Thank you, Your Honor. If you could now turn to Government Exhibit 1401T. There should be a tab for it in the binder. And Ms. Corrado, if you could cue up Government Exhibit 1401. Ms. Corrado, could you begin playing the call? Ms. Corrado, could you please pause the call there? Mr. Lopez, listening to the voices there, who was on the call? CB. And who else is on the call? Me And who is my wife? And Mr. Lopez, just to be clear, the voice that said chillin', chillin', who was that? CB. Ms. Corrado, could you please play until approximately 47 seconds in the call? Ms. Corrado, could you pause it there? So, Mr. Lopez, I want to direct your attention now to certain portions of the call. In one part of the call, Brown says that you're a bit short now. You got about a year. What did you understand that to mean? That I'm getting ready to come home. Come home from where? Prison. And directing your attention to the portion of the call where Brown says, references somebody named TC. Who is TC? And on the call, Brown says, regular shit, probably go on the block. What did you understand that to mean? He's about to go hang out with TC. Where did you understand that to be? Block will be Soundview. Is TC in a gang? Yes. What gang? Sex, money, murder. Ms. Corrado, could you continue playing the call until approximately 1 minute, 16 seconds? Mr. Lopez, I want to ask you about some of the parts of the call that we just played right there. There was a reference to OP. Who is that? Another blazer. And is that the OP you talked about yesterday? Yes. There was also a reference to a Sunai. Who is that? Another blazer. Did you talk about them yesterday as well? Yes. There is also a reference to Atlanta. What was the significance of that? He was just going down there to hang out. Do you know why they were going down there to hang out? I can't remember. Ms. Corrado, could you skip ahead to the 2-minute mark and play about 18 seconds? Mr. Lopez, there is a reference to RO. Who is that? Another blazer. Why did you want to talk to RO? I wanted to ask him about a dude named Jimmy that I bought into the gang while I was upstate. Why did you want to ask him about Jimmy? Because him and Jimmy was on Rikers Island with each other. So we will talk about Jimmy a little bit more later. Ms. Corrado, can you continue playing until approximately 3 minutes and 3 seconds? Ms. Corrado, could you stop the call now? So, Mr. Lopez, now I want to ask you about some of the parts of the call we just listened to. There's a reference to D. Jones and TC. Can you remind the jury who they are? 2 blazers from the neighborhood. Then later in the call, Mr. Brown says, once I get on my feet, I was going to send you. I was going to give you a couple of dollars. What did you understand that to mean? Once he gets the money, he's going to send me some money. And when he says, once I get on my feet, he was going to send the money, what did you understand once I get on my feet to mean? Once he makes some money, then he's going to send me some money. Now later on in the call, Mr. Brown says, I haven't really been ripping and running with none of them fools on 161. What did you understand that to mean? That he ain't really been messing around with none of them. Who are they? Like Dollar and whoever hangs out with him on 161. What is 161? That's where he lives. That's a street. What street is it on? 161st Street. What neighborhood is that in? That's by the courthouse, by the Bronx courthouse. Mr. Lopez, when you were in prison, did you receive any drugs in prison? Yes. What kinds of drugs? Cocaine. Who did you receive cocaine from? OP. How many times did you receive cocaine from OP approximately? 1 time. Why did you receive cocaine from OP? He was selling drugs around one of the towns that we was at upstate, and he came to visit me one time, and he had coke on him, and he passed it to me, and I brought it back in the jail. Why did you want coke in the jail? I could make money off of it. What did you do with the coke in jail? I sold some of it. Did you use any of the coke in jail? No. Did you ever use marijuana in jail? Yes. Approximately how many times? Regularly. Now, Mr. Lopez, when you were in jail around this time frame, were you approached by law enforcement? Yes. Now, without going into any specifics, what did they ask you questions about? The murder? Whose murder? Vincent Davis. Did you lie to those law enforcement officers? Yes. How did you lie to them? Told them that I didn't do it. Why did you lie to them? Because I didn't want to go to jail for it. Did you talk to anybody in prison about your conversations with law enforcement? Yes. Who did you talk to? I spoke to Jimmy about it. You mentioned Jimmy before. How did you know him in prison? We was in the same housing area. Was he in a gang? Yes. What gang? Sex, money, murder. And why did you talk to him about your conversations with law enforcement? I trusted him at the time. Why did you trust him? I brought him into the gang, and he was with me every day. Did you also talk to him about the murder of Vincent Davis? Yes. What did you tell him? I told him that I killed Vincent Davis. Approximately how many times did you talk to him about the murder? Approximately about 2 times. When were you released from prison? July 2015. After you were released from prison, did you have a conversation with Brown about your discussions with law enforcement in prison? Yes. How did that conversation come about? We met up in Soundview with each other. How did you decide to meet up in Soundview? We called each other. We spoke on the phone. What did you say on the phone? That I gotta talk to him. What was your tone when you said that? I was serious. What happened when you got to Soundview and met up? We talked away from everybody. We left our phones on the curb, and we had a conversation. Why did you leave your phones on the curb? Just in case our phones was bugged. They don't listen to us talk. What do you mean by bugged? Tapped by the feds. Whose idea was it to leave the phones on the curb? Corey's. When you actually started talking, what did you discuss? I told him about how they came to question me and showing me pictures of him, Dio, and Venom. Did you tell him what they were questioning you about? Excuse me, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. Does anyone on the jury need a break? Sorry, I should have told you can actually close your transcript binders now that the call is over. Thank you. So, Mr. Lopez, going back to this conversation, did you tell Brown what law enforcement had questioned you about? Yes. What did you tell him? Objection. Overruled. I told him about what they had came to question me about. Which was what? About the murder. How did he respond when you told him that? Concerned. Why do you think he was concerned? He wanted to know what they was questioning me about. So what sort of things did he say to you? He asked me what they said. He said, don't worry. They don't got nothing. As long as nobody talks and they pick us up for this, conspiracy is only 10 years. We'd be all right. And he told me about D.O. He like, if anything, we might have to take care of D.O. because he could snitch later on down the line and jam us up.